Hey everybody, welcome to the Real Guy Podcast. Tonight we got a special guest, and he's going to be regular on the show. We got Julian Segal from the Tarpon River Brewery. Julian, good to have you tonight.
Good to have you. Good to be with you.
Yeah, this is the beginning of our podcast series, and good to have Julian here. If you guys were tuning in to Triple Live last year and you watched some of the Triple Live events, we did most of them at the Tarpon River Brewery. And
I was the guy in high school people are forgetting about. What Lamont's telling me?
Yeah, dude, and I don't get that, but you just have to live with it. But at the brewery last year, we had a blast doing Triple Live down there. We really appreciate it, Julian. And
I got to tell you, we enjoyed it so much, and just like what it gives, and I hate to say we're giving back to the community, but just to know that there's a forum that's family friendly, and you think of all the times people brought their kids up live on the show,
right?
And these kids watch you in the river, they watch you in the ocean. Right. These teenagers,
No, I think it's fantastic where you can have a place where you can come, people can meet you, give them stickers, shake their hands, take a picture with them, whatever. And the brewery's been fantastic for that. So we're going to do some podcasts at the brewery this year. When we do the podcast at the brewery, we will invite the audience to come. We'll have a place for them to sit and to hang out. We'll do some giveaways. We'll have a good time with the audience, and we'll do the live feeds also. So we're looking forward to that. Julian, this weekend I saw that the brewery. Now, where were you guys?
We flew over to Tampa for the Brewers Ball. So it's Tampa Craft Beer Week this week. So Tampa, which is really the epicenter for craft beer in the state of Florida. Most of the bigger breweries are on the West Coast,
right?
And this week is their craft beer week. So the Florida Brewers Guild had breweries from across the entire state submit beers that they went ahead and evaluated. So we're a 1-year-old business,
right?
And we got best beer.
You get
and
for the total.
No, well, there's a category.
Right.
I mean, there's stouts, there's IPAs, there's hazy IPAs, and sours.
Okay.
So we have a prickly pear zinger, which if you've been to Canyon, I'm sure your wife loves the prickly pear margarita.
Yeah, she does.
Right, so we made a beer that emulates that.
Oh, okay.
It's really a fun beer to drink.
Okay, and that's the one that won
That's
the
the
award?
one that won. We took gold on it. We're really excited about it.
Gold, first place.
First
Tarpon
place,
River
best
Brewery.
beer in the category, yeah.
I understand that you ran into the guys from
81 Bay, for sure, yeah.
81 Bay.
It was wonderful. There's a lot of breweries in the state now, because besides Tarpon River Brewing, I started Riverside Market, and that's been voted one of the best craft beer bars in I hate to say the world, in the USA, many times from Thrillist Magazine, the top 30, top 50. So we carry 650 craft beers. Right. So when I'm not wearing my Tarpon River Brewing hat, I'm wearing Riverside Market. And with Riverside Market, we sell the most craft beer that anyone could sell in the industry.
Huh.
So we have 150 local beers just from Florida-based breweries.
Gotcha.
So it was great to be as a brewer, as an owner with Tarpon River Brewing, it was great to be in Tampa at the Brewers Ball because everything from 81 Bay, from Big Top Brewing, from Sunshine City, from every brewery that I've seen that I sell, here's the owners, here's the brewers, we're all getting recognized for our achievements. It was wonderful.
That's cool. The reason we bring up 81 Bay Brewery is because that's where we did LunkerCon 4 years ago in Tampa, and we did it at their brewery, and Bubba from the Flats Mafia crew was a manager down there and introduced us to the people at the brewery. We had a huge event there. It was absolutely phenomenal.
And it's a great facility there.
Right. It was perfect for that type of...
Absolutely.
I think we had 400 people show up to it. And so I thought it was kind of cool when you mentioned that and you got to hang out with the 81 Bay Brewery guys.
Tampa Bay Brewing, just, everyone. It's phenomenal. And there's a real camaraderie. It's not like it's competition. It's competition for sure on the brewery side, but when I wear my Riverside Market hat, I'm selling 650 different beers constantly.
Right.
So everyone's our best friend.
Sure. No, it's just like, kind of like the fishing guides. You get, we're in competition with one another, but there's a huge network of good guys that help each other out and make sure that, everybody maintains their business.
100%. Like if there's a bunch of tourists walking down the dock at Bahia Mar, and there's 2 dozen charter boats, no one's gonna be like, "Don't charter that boat. Come over here." It's not.
Have you been down to that dock? It's a little harsh down there.
Is it really like that? Well, back in the old days, it was kind of clean living.
I think there's a big difference between the charter business and the fishing guide business. I think
For
there's
sure.
a big difference between the two. And I think the fishing guides definitely have, some camaraderie and help each other out big time. If you're a real guy, then you reach out and you help out other real guys. I think it goes that way in our business, and I'm sure it goes that way in your business. And I just thought it was phenomenal that you were down there in Tampa, that you won the award, and that you got to hang out with the people that hosted LunkerCon before. Because the next LunkerCon we do here in Fort Lauderdale, it's going to be at the Tarpon River Brewery. The place, if you haven't been down there, plenty of room. Fantastic for you bringing family, friends.
And if anyone wants an excuse to go down there that hasn't been down there soon, our 1-year anniversary party is coming up around the corner. It's on March 23rd. And if you don't mind the lineup, it's just a free all-day concert.
Oh, really?
Local bands mostly. Surfer Blood, Heavy Pets, Goddamn Hustle, Matt Dubbin and the Honest Liars, Hamilton, Jabberjaw, the Emily Sheila Band, Fat Son, the Gasms, Gone in Bloom, and Kids. We're going to have a backyard barbecue area. It's going to be just an all-day free concert.
And that's what, March 23rd?
March 23rd, yeah, 323 over at Tarpon River Brewing. A totally free event for everyone.
Phenomenal.
Family-friendly, dog-friendly, whatever you want.
If I'm not fishing that day, I think we'll bring the family down.
For sure.
If I am fishing, maybe they'll go down without me. But speaking of fishing, I was fortunate enough to take Julian and his family out last year about this
What a
time.
great time. You know why? The reason why we went.
Go ahead. I remember the reasoning, but I want the audience to understand this because I thought
I have two sons. They're very close in age. They're 18 months apart. So now they're 14 and a half and 16. The younger of the two hitched a ride to Bimini with some friends on a 40 Intrepid. The older one was insanely jealous. You really can't send both your children away with another family.
Right.
It's a lot.
Right.
And when they have kids and accommodations and whatever else.
Right.
So I had to make my older one not jealous that he wasn't in Bimini. And this is a kid that feels he was born with a fishing rod in his hand,
Right.
And I got to tell you, if your child is ADHD, fishing is the best.
It is. Dude, fishing is the best.
Therapy.
Yeah, in a lot of situations when you have kids, you get them out there in the ocean, and things are.
My kids don't have video games. They have cell phones, but there's no. But they have Nintendo Wii, which I guess they got 10 years ago. What's the value of that?
Right.
I'm sure that thing hasn't been turned on in a long time. So my now 16-year-old, who's an avid fisherman, in his words, we brought him with you, and unfortunately, he kind of exaggerated. He should have been more honest with you. When you're like, hey, is this your first tarpon? He's like, no, I catch tarpon all the time. Yeah, in his fucking sleep, excuse my language, but he dreams about it,
Yeah.
But to the boat, seriously, we brought some crazy fish to the boat.
Yeah, we had a good day, and the kid was a phenomenal angler. I don't care if those were his first tarpon or whatever. He did a phenomenal job getting those big fish to the boat.
He had a few moments where he had to put on his listening ears.
Oh yeah, that's normal.
Because he was excited on the fight. But everything you told him, he totally followed your instruction. And I would say 60, 80, 100 pounders to the boat. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The fights that he had were phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great day. It's a great fishery that we have. And but getting to spend, it's a 5-hour trip. And Julie and I went to high school together. We've known each other for an awful long time. But I don't think we've ever, except for that time we went fishing, were able to spend a solid 5 hours together.
For sure.
And then to have your wife there, and then to be able to spend the time also with your kid, and then, watch him catch those fish, and
It was
see
perfect.
the excitement. It was just icing on the cake, you know what I mean?
You couldn't have I hate to say it, money can't buy that experience.
Right. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Fishing's a weird thing.
I'm pretty sure most of your listeners are dialed into the fishing experience.
They are dialed into the fishing experience.
But when you have the time where you're bringing 5 tarpon to the boat, when you're fighting tarpon are jumping, I don't want to say the wrong amount of foot in the air, 10, 15 feet in the air, whatever they were doing, and splashing and pulling and going in between the bridge, and the boat's going between the pilings of the bridge, and then we get a freaking hitchhiker. And this is after we get the Lexus going into the boat ramp. It was nonstop adventure. If you put a value on 5 hours, you can't put a value on the 5 hours we spent. We got to the boat ramp, and there's headlights coming out of the water from the Lexus.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
We get to the bridge, and there's a guy that swam in from the ocean, still had his weight belt, but couldn't make it to shore, and he wound up in the middle of the span of the bridge at the foundation.
Dude, this kid had his snorkel gear on, was snorkeling from shore, swam all the way out to the middle of the bridge. The tide started going out fast. He was basically stranded on the bridge, and Julian and the family's out there with me, and we saved this kid.
We took his spear gun as collateral in case he pulled some crazy 305 stunt. Remember?
I do remember.
He got a spear gun and a knife. We'll take you on board. We're holding your artillery.
Right? We're okay with the weapons. We're just going to hold them for you. But anyway, yeah, that was a full day and a lot of fun. And you know, we're doing that trip right now. It's funny because every year, you never know how it's going to pan out. Remember last year, Biscayne Bay was full of mullet, and we fished with mullet most of the time, and the tarpon were keyed onto them. And this very next year, right now, there's hardly any mullet down there. It's going to change soon in a few weeks, but there's hardly any mullet down there. I haven't been down there all winter long, and we've been catching tarpon on the shrimps this year. So, complete contrast from last year, exact same spots, exact same places, and the fish are much smaller this year. We're getting a lot of fish between 30 and say 75 pounds, where last year almost all the fish were around 75 pounds and up. So not sure how the strain works, but definitely not the strain of fish this year than there was last year. But,
it's like mangoes. One year you got tons of mangoes, and this year the tree's putting out 30%. What's happening here?
It's
you know?
citrus. I use that analogy all the time with fishing. It's like citrus trees. You never know what you're going to get.
The
from
crop,
year to
yeah.
year. You know you're going to get something, but you just never know what. Coming up at the Tarpon River Brewery, we're going to plan a live event with Tom Rowland.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did a podcast with Tom Rowland last month. We tried to rush the event, tried to get it done last month. We just didn't have enough time to do it. But when I went to Miami and I sat down with Tom, at the end of the podcast, at the end of our interview there, he was very excited to pick a date to do the live event. So that's going to come up. We're going to have to reach out to Tom, find out what's good for him, and when we do that, we'll let everybody know, and we'll promote the heck out of it. And then you guys can all come down. You can meet Tom Rowland. If you don't know who Tom Rowland is, Tom Rowland had a couple of TV shows. He still has the TV shows. Into the Blue is one of them, and Saltwater Experience is the other one. And when he came on the scene, this has to be about 12 years ago or so, ESPN2 was doing fishing shows. And both of his shows ended up on ESPN2 for about 3 or 4 seasons there. He got a lot of exposure. They spent a lot of time, energy, and money on making a nice production for people. And Tom's been very much so on the scene since then. And he's doing a podcast and a blog that's absolutely phenomenal. People are tuning in from all over the world, so it was cool to be on that, and it was even cooler that he wanted to come down and spend some time with us at the Tarpon River Brewery. So we'll let everybody know about that when that's coming up, and we'll try to give everybody a good heads up on that.
What was with the professional crew? Who was that last time at the brewery?
What do you mean?
Who was it you took fishing on his boat?
Oh, the guys we brought down. That's right, I forgot about that. That was George Gods
Yeah.
and his new show, Unfathomed.
And when is that going to start airing? Is that on yet or not yet?
I don't think that's on yet. I think it's coming on either April or maybe May. But I think that was maybe the second or third episode that they shot. And basically what we did is we did 2 days fishing here between Miami and Fort Lauderdale for tarpon. And then we at the end of the shooting, we went down to Tarpon River Brewery, sat down, we had some beers and some lunch, and we just talked for a little bit. And I guess the way that show's going to go is they're going to show more of a storyline about the guide and where
it's more like meet the people and do some fishing.
Right.
It's right. You know, it seemed like a really neat concept.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, you know, all these fishing shows, you know, over the years have kind of been the same. And, you know, I think it's time for them to branch out. I think it's time for them to expand. And hopefully the Georgia show, Unfathomed, you know, will do that. So can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see the shots from the Tarpon River Brewery. Now, what do you got there?
You mind if I crack open a beer?
Of course, you can crack open a beer. What? Oh, watch out for those expensive microphones. You pour the next one. Pour it up close to the microphone so they can hear it. There you go. Now, is this the beer that won the awards?
No, that'll be next.
Okay.
This is it's a new lager we made. It's a light lager. I think you'll really enjoy it. You know, I know a lot of you guys here. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Julian.
You don't want the big hoppy stuff. You know, you're on the water. You're baking in the sun.
Yeah, that's a nice light. What's that? A lager?
Yep.
Yeah, that's perfect. For
Super easy. I thought you'd like this one for sure.
No, I like that. I like it a lot. Yeah, that's one of the things is like whether you're out fishing and you want to grab a beer, you really want to get something like crazy heavy, or even when you get back from fishing and you're all sunbeaten and everything, a nice cold light beer.
But I'm telling you, it's really funny with beer trends. We've seen it all: double IPAs, imperial stouts. Crazy. It's going back to basic lagers.
Is it really?
100%. At the end of the day, every craft brewery is focusing on making a lager now. Huh. Enough with the crazies.
I guess it goes that way.
It's a sign. It's a phase. But you know what? It's still, people enjoy everything else. We've got 16 different beers that we brew on draft, on tap all the time. Nothing is sitting. It's all selling out. But there's more people in this heat that just want to be able to enjoy an easy beer like this.
Yeah, this is great.
Run that dog.
Very good. Well, Julian, there's some guys that you've been asking me to come down to the brewery and put them on Triple Live, and I think we're going to take you up on that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, the one dude you were telling me about, the young kid, the real good fisherman.
He makes flies and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet him, and I think that having the younger generation involved, not only with the fishing part of it, but with the social media part of it, I think it'll be a lot of fun, and it's also good to get the perspective from the younger people. You know what I mean? It's funny I was saying that because I always kind of considered myself younger until I started hanging out with your kids and my kids and their friends and
this whole window, once the kids go 8th grade, 10th grade, what do you do? How do you fathom that you've got children that are like almost have a driver's license, Dude,
it's remember Mike Eade from high school?
Mm-hmm.
His daughter, she's driving around now. Darren Jenkins' kid.
Yeah.
Jenica, she's driving around now.
Listen, a buddy of mine called me up. He went to, Park and Ocean at Birch State Park.
Right.
On his Hydrosport Bay boat. I'm in Tampa. And he goes, hey, do you know any towboat guys? And I said, yeah, what's going on? He goes, my battery's dead. I'm over here at Park and Ocean, my wife and my baby. So I call a towboat guy I know.
Right.
He's home. I call the guy back. I'm like, do you have towing insurance? He goes, yeah, they're on the way, but they're going to take a while. I said, listen, my kid has his license, but it's not active for another 10 days. Once you get your learner's permit, he tested early for the driver's license, but you have to have the learner's permit for 1 year, 365 days.
Okay.
So there's 10 days left until he's allowed to drive as a human being without an adult with him,
Right. Right.
And I'm in Tampa. So I want to help out my buddy, right? So I called one of the managers from Riverside Market that was off, and I said, hey, can you drive to my house, grab my son, grab a battery charger, a portable booster pack, and help out my buddy who's stuck over by Birch State Park on his boat? Well, I didn't know that there was a Las Olas art fair. I wasn't thinking there was spring break. By the time they got mobilized, got into Birch Park and got to the dock, the towboat people were already there jump-starting his boat. So my son's like, you can drive my mom's car home. He said to my manager, I'll drive this boat home with you, Aaron, because my buddy sent his wife and kid home because they went to bake in the sun on the broken boat at 5:30. It was a baby with him. So my son, who's just turned 16, drove my buddy's Hydrosport home with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me up. He goes, man, I would let your son operate any boat. He's amazing. I mean, that's the lifestyle that we raise them here, not video game, on the water fishing.
Right.
So to hear it from someone, I love it. There's nothing more I can ask for.
Yeah, and it's funny because you know that your kid has the ability to do that.
I'll let him take my boat out.
Right, you know that he has the ability to do that, but he's your kid. And then when you see him doing it for other people and he's out there, with your peers, and then they turn around and tell you something nice like that.
I went to the rack and so I got back by the time this whole thing I was en route, I was flying back. I met him at the rack and stack, and my son's backing it in to the dock like a boss, And yeah, it was great. It looked great.
Now, them kids been fishing much lately?
They have. I don't know how they've been doing. I've been really busy working a lot lately. Just case of bad parent,
Well, it is your season.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, my kids now, because I let them use my big boat, they want to bring over all their friends, and I just get nervous having 15 kids in the ocean. My kids want to take the boat up to Boca and Hillsborough Inlet, and I got to tell you, I'd rather they not, especially with so many kids.
Well, you got to be a dad, and you got to, use your best judgment.
I don't think my problem. They don't know Hillsborough Inlet. They don't know Boca Inlet.
All right, if they're gonna do that, maybe it shouldn't be with a group of 20.
Right.
I got you. So Julian grew up right here in Fort Lauderdale, and it's funny because right now it's spring break down here.
Can you imagine?
And
everyone's wearing slides, and they're all freaking sunburnt. It's so funny.
It is funny. It's cool to see the kids down here because when Julian and I were kids, spring break was friggin' nuts down here.
It didn't end.
Yeah, we graduated high school in the '80s, and spring break was just totally friggin' insane down here.
They made movies about it.
Yeah, no, people know. I mean, Fort Lauderdale was known for that, and we grew up right in the middle of it. So, like today, I'm driving down A1A there, and I'm seeing the kids walking around, and there's a ton of kids in the neighborhood now because of the VRBOs.
Yeah. Airbnbs.
And so the kids are all through the neighborhood, and they're walking down
all
the beach,
into it, yeah.
Seeing what they can get into, and it just reminds me of the old days of growing up over here. Yes, those were good days.
Candy stores, summers, confettis, whatever. We didn't stop,
Well, it's so funny.
The Village Zoo.
You go down to the beach now, and that whole beach place is full of old people that buy these week at a time timeshare type things.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the old people are out there at the bar with a DJ dude, and they're playing
Well, I mean, Fort Lauderdale really has entered a state of conflict. They don't know, Fort Lauderdale Beach, all the Conrad, Ritz-Carlton, Hotel W,
right.
They're not appealing to college kids.
Dude, they're not appealing to anybody except for the people that are staying in those hotels.
And I'm with $300, $400, $500 a night.
Right. Right. Now it's gotten.
In the '80s, they were no-name hotels and motels that were probably $69.
Dude,
right? 3 stories.
$69, all the kids you could fit in.
Yeah. That's how it was, wasn't it?
And dude, we were getting beers drafts for 50 cents.
Yeah.
50-cent drafts was the thing. And when we grew
now
up.
it's $15 vodkas,
Right? Oh my gosh, what was that? When we were at
Button?
when we were at the brewery with George Gods and the Unfathomed crew.
Yeah.
And your friend brought in some tequila.
Yes.
Some sipping tequila.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was good.
Yeah. He's a solid kid. Noah, I hate to say kid because he's just probably younger and skinnier than me. But yeah, he's a local distiller. And he's getting this stuff off the ground. So he's great because he always is carrying a mason jar and wants to share.
Right. He just he had a little stash with him, and he's like, "Hey, you guys want to taste?" And
I usually try to keep that to a minimal because it's fire water.
Well, that and we just got done filming for 2 days.
Right.
We were on the water for freaking 20 hours in 2 days, and I'm thinking to myself, well, the last thing I need is tequila. And the guy pours me a little sipping glass of tequila, and dude, that was so.
It's perfect. Yeah, it warmed you right up.
Yeah, it warmed me up. I mean, and George enjoyed it. I mean, everybody. So between the beers and the food, and then the little extra bonus with the tequila, the Tarpon River was a hit.
Good stuff.
No, it was good. It was good. What were they serving us in the old days when we were getting the 50-cent drafts?
Probably like a Rolling Rock, Natural Light type of.
Anything left over?
Bud Light, just whatever, Yeah.
And we didn't even care. It was
At all.
Good. It was
At all.
Good. But anyway,
what were we drinking as teenagers? Because we were drinking as teenagers. We were buying 18 packs of Old Milwaukee's Best, Busch. What was like $5 for an 18 pack, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you were my brother's class, so you guys were able to drink when you were 18.
That turned off right in front of my face.
See, now my
brother's got that treatment.
my brother was able to drink when he was 18.
My brothers were class of 82 and 83, and they got that deal. I was class of 85, and it put it right to me.
So when I was 16, I went in and got a driver's license with my brother's information.
That's the only way you can fly. It was the best way ever.
Right, and then I could go to all the nightclubs and stuff.
I had the height, so I didn't get carded.
Yeah, you were tall.
Yeah.
Exactly. The old days in Fort Lauderdale was totally insane. You could make more money parking cars and serving beers and drinks than basically you could do pretty much anything. And
if I remember correctly, the valet parkers are mostly coke dealers anyway.
Well, I think at that time, about 50% of the people that had any cash in their pocket were coke dealers in one form, fashion, or another. Do you remember the speedboats that were riding around town in the old days?
That was ridiculous. And do you remember there was no wake zones to really speak of? You would go from Sunrise Boulevard to Oakland Park Boulevard in 3 minutes in a 38-foot cigarette or Scarab. And everyone was jamming that same Miami Vice theme song with their 6x9s, you know.
They used to race. They used to race from Port Everglades to the Dania Bridge.
Yeah.
Like a drag race. I think, what's that, about a mile long maybe?
It's crazy.
And
but even I remember going up to shooters, they were all rafting 8, 10, 12 deep, and they would just take off and full throttle everything. Everyone had open exhaust. You know, it was crazy.
Now, if you had a cigarette in those days, a 38-foot cigarette, you were on top of the hill. Now, those were good days. Now you go out there, you deal with water taxis, a lot of bow thrusters, a whole bunch of day boaters, your jet skiers, personal watercraft, and not too many 38 cigarettes anymore.
I don't know where those guys went, you know?
They left with the cash.
There's a good-looking group of people with the Intrepids and the Jupiters and the Sea Hunters, you know, but they're not really arrogant or obnoxious. They just have good boats and they have a good time.
I think it was fashionably obnoxious in the 80s.
Yeah. You had to have all the pastel striping and whatnot.
I tell you something that totally weirded me out today. So I have an account at Wells Fargo, and I'm getting a little exercise in. I put a few dollars in my pouch there with a deposit slip, and during my run I walk into Wells Fargo, the one right down here. On the Sunrise Beach.
Before
And I hand them a lot of cash in the deposit slip, and they won't deposit my cash. And I'm like, I've been coming here, for a good 10 years or so. Do the same thing every week. I bring a little bit of cash in there, make sure I got enough in the bank to cover any checks or anything, payments or whatever. And they won't take my cash without an ID. And I'm like, wait a second.
Don't you have account history?
Right. I'm like, I've only had an account here for, over a decade. My wife's business is 3 doors down. She has a business account there with, I don't know, plenty of dollars in there. And they won't take my cash.
That's bizarre.
Could you imagine in the 80s if the bank wouldn't take your cash because you didn't have an ID on you?
No.
I
understand if it's over $9,000, they want to report. It's an IRS law.
Okay.
But normal cash deposit, couple of grand, $2-3 grand, you sold a used car, who cares? It doesn't make sense when they turn it down.
It just totally floored me. I closed my Wells Fargo account.
Just like that.
I'm not doing a bank account anymore. I'm going to pay all my bills, including my mortgage.
Venmo or whatever.
American Express.
Yep.
I'm going to put it on the American Express, and then I'll pay American Express once a month.
You can't pay them in cash either.
No, you can't pay them in cash, but at least I can friggin' not have to go to the bank.
Cash used to be a good thing. Cash became a curse. I'm in the bar business now, restaurant business. And I got to tell you, where I'm sure at one point cash was super predominant.
Right.
I don't think in Plantation, one of my stores, Riverside Markets out there, it's like 10% sales are cash.
You're only taking 10% of
That's what people pay. That's what people pay.
Everybody's
It's 10%. Swiping. We're in a debit card society. Let me ask you a question. Who carries cash? I'll tell you the answer. Landlords, because tenants pay them in cash, and people in the service industry that get tipped in cash. Who else has access to cash?
No, they deliberately took it out of the system. And
I wish Lamont was here because he would have some great covert conspiracy theory on this right now.
Well, Lamont knows. He was in the cash business. He had all the valet services around town. But it's just amazing to me that the
People don't pay on the general rule. 20% of my sales max are cash.
the new generation thinks it's just okay to swipe their card whether they're buying a pack of cigarettes.
Where are they getting cash from? If they have a job, their paycheck is direct deposit, correct?
Taking the cash out of the system is like trying to keep shrimp alive with no aerator. You know what I mean? So what are you going to end up with? Dead, stinky shrimp. It's true.
Okay, now that you talked about dead shrimp, let's switch from the cash for a second.
Okay.
Everyone that knows you knows that you're amazing with the cast net.
Right.
What about the belly hoop? Is that a scam or is that real?
The belly hoop. You mean
Belly hoop.
to
Have you
get the
seen that
belly
thing?
hoops? Yeah.
The belly hoop, it's a hoop.
Yeah, and you just kind of slide it underneath. the
Yeah,
fish.
just stick it all out there and
Yeah.
let the line out. Does that thing work?
That thing works really well. I mean, it doesn't work always.
People were lining up at the Isla Mirada Marine Flea Market last week, 2 weekends ago, for $200 a pop. Like a dozen people bought that. Like, is it $200 a bargain or is that normal going rate?
I don't know. I've never had one. I've seen them, and I know that they work really well.
People were jumping on that like it was like the new next slice thing of like white bread. It was perfect.
Well, people have kind of caught on that the ballyhoos are great mutton snapper bait. So they want to get the fresh ballyhoo. Somebody told them that
I heard that's really good for the sheep's head now too.
fresh ballyhoo. Dude, Wasaka's not here tonight, so we don't have to talk about sheep's head. We don't
He's
have to
gonna
bring
be
that up.
it's gonna be hurting.
You know, Wasaka was down on the beach the other day catching bluefish.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember or not, but back in the late 70s and the early 80s, the bluefish used to bite the spring breakers.
I remember in high school, we used to get the sand fleas and use them for bait and get whiting
Yeah, the whiting was
off of the Gulf Ocean Mile.
there's still some whiting down there. But I'm just wondering if any of the spring breakers are getting bit by bluefish like they did in the old days.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Now, in the old days, like even the lifeguards and stuff, they had a little first aid kit, and then they would stitch up the people that
That's crazy.
right there on the beach that got bit by the bluefish. And
I'd say we used to do a lot of shark fishing recreationally
Right.
off of Mark 2100 with a bunch of cop buddies at night, late night. We'd kayak out the baits, use a brick with 6-pound tests and blah, blah, blah. And tourists would freak out. You have no idea how many people are actually walking down Fort Lauderdale Beach midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And when they see us landing 6, 8 foot, 10-foot sharks on the beach and getting the hook out and safely releasing the sharks, tourists freak out really easy.
no, they freak out. And I got there's been a lot of attention given to the shark fishing off the beach, and I think the government's going to shut it down. Typical government stuff.
I mean, we're responsible anglers. We're not getting hurt. We're not hurting people.
Yeah, but
I'm sure there are some people.
don't try to make sense out of anything.
No, for sure. The guy just got charged or had this hearing. The guy that I guess he lassoed the shark and dragged him backwards.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I didn't really follow up on the storyline on it because I don't know the proof. That's kind of crazy.
Well, that guy was a jerk.
Yeah, he did wrong, and I mean,
The
it's
guy was a
like
jerk, and he got a penalty, but I don't know if you saw the sentencing. It was not that big of a deal. It's not like he's going to spend 5 years in jail or
Right.
something.
which would be kind of crazy.
The whole thing is crazy. I mean, the guy should have never dragged that shark around like that.
Did it die?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm having a problem with sharks right now.
They're eating your tarpon.
They're eating the friggin' tarpon, and
Well, someone's got to eat the tarpon.
yeah, but
Does the tarpon have an enemy besides the shark?
the tarpon doesn't even. The shark's not even the enemy of the tarpon.
It's a food source.
I don't even think so. I think the sharks hang around the tarpon fishermen, knowing
But there's
that
some bait.
we're going to hook a tarpon, and then they come in for the kill. Taking advantage of the situation. And
What about the Goliath grouper? That should not be preserved anymore. That wipes out civilizations.
yeah, I think the last thing that you really want to do is let government determine these things.
You go ahead and put 3 Goliath grouper on a quality reef, you'll have no snapper left.
Thank God I don't have to deal with Goliath groupers. Very rarely.
Are they really here in Fort Lauderdale off of 15th Street?
There's a few of them off of 15th Street and around 17th Street Causeway Bridge, and I think I think most of the smaller ones people kill and eat.
Yeah.
You know, either one they don't realize it or they don't care.
Right.
Yeah, they kill and eat them. So I don't think we're ever going to get like a massive population of.
But I mean, and the
whales.
keys are there. You can have a shark on, and the grouper will eat the shark.
Well, I'll start bitching and moaning about the Goliath groupers when they start eating my tarpon. Right now, I am having a bull shark problem down in Miami,
For sure.
and it's just totally harshes my buzz. It's like, you know, we break the fish off early, you know, if the
To
fish-
release it.
Right, if the fish starts acting kind of squirrely or whatever, and we think there might be a shark in the area, we'll break the fish off early. But a lot of times, you know, the fish will be right up next to the boat, and we're getting ready to release the damn tarpon, and everybody's happy, and we're taking pictures, and here comes Mr. Shark, taking swipes at the tarpon. And I know damn well...
And here you are, responsible angler. The tarpon's not leaving the water for photographs. You're not pulling scales off of it for memoirs back in Kansas, you know.
You're trying to do everything
You're doing
right.
everything so by the book, you know, and then Mr. Shark comes along and,
Right, takes advantage
Yeah.
of the situation.
yeah.
And, you know, I think that the sharks down there know, you know, once it gets dark, you know, to hang around the small boats that are sitting in the cut or sitting around, you know, doing the tarpon fishing, and they're taking advantage of the situation. I have some tricks up my sleeve. Stay tuned for that. It's gonna be. I'm developing a shark repellent in a system where when we let the tarpon go, they have shark repellent that's going to keep the sharks away from them. And
It sounds amazing.
I'm going to experiment with it here the next couple of weeks, and if it works as well as I think it's going to work, I'm going to offer it to free to all the tarpon guides that are fishing in areas where they're having the same problems that I am with the sharks. I mean, I'm so fed up with it. And
Because you're doing everything you can to preserve the fish.
that, and then, you know, there's all these rules, you know, that you can't kill the sharks anymore, the commercial fishermen can't kill the sharks anymore.
Bull shark is just a killing machine.
Right. And if you're killing all this other stuff that he's eating, but you have to let him go, well, then there's more of them,
For sure.
and the more aggressive they're going to be because of the competition for the food and all that. But I am getting sick and tired of the bull shark situation, and hopefully, with any luck, some of these tricks that I'm going to try will deter the sharks from getting them. But anyway, Julian, I'm glad you came in tonight. I can't wait to do the live events.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I've had more people ask me, you know, dude, you're going to do triple live, you're going to do triple live, you're going to do triple live. And the answer is yes, but it's going to be in a different format. When we show up to the brewery and we do the live events, we will be doing triple live at the same time.
And you really, I feel you have to poll your audience and ask them, do you want to see my face or do you want to hear my voice?
Well, yeah, I think you gotta ask them, and then you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, whether or not they want to hear me or not, or whether they want to see me or not, well, it's, you know, we're gonna put it up, and then if you don't like it, then we won't get the views. Or the
We're not
listens.
getting the views, we're getting the hears.
Right, the listens. But I think
That would be nice in the perfect world if we can just have the fairy tale.
well, what totally stinks is like how many we did. About
God knows.
40
It was a great time.
we did-
It was
I think we
awesome.
did- I think we did 40 episodes. We did every Monday night
Before football.
after football.
After football,
After
yeah.
football season was over, we did every Monday night to the following Monday Night Football. We did a triple live every single Monday night.
And a couple of times you were out to work.
Right, yeah, I couldn't make them all because I was working, but we
You had great people. Norm Olis was there. Whomever was
we
there.
had people from the Real Guy Network.
Yeah, it's
step up,
perfect.
and people had a great time. But what totally stinks about it is people now ask about, you know, an episode that we did last year that's not archived, that we can't find anymore.
How can it not be archived? Because of Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook. We did Facebook, Instagram, and then YouTube when we could get the good connection. And on Facebook and Instagram, there's just not a place for them to archive, you know, the live
Lives,
videos.
yeah.
You know, maybe for a week, 2
Yeah.
weeks, you could, you know, scroll back. But people talk about it, and they want to. Oh, do you remember that episode where we had so and so, and you're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this, and you go back to look for it, and it's
Sure.
over.
I was watching a thing on the news the other day. I can't think of her name. I guess she was a CEO or president of YouTube. And she was saying there's 500 videos per second or per minute being uploaded. And people are trying to control what's uploaded onto YouTube now, that they don't want to see conspiracy. The government doesn't want to see conspiracy theory videos on YouTube.
Oh, the government's going to get involved.
Right. So
Yeah,
the YouTube lady's like, listen, it's our responsibility to make sure that there's fair content being out there. What someone else's theory may not be your theory, but let someone else express their theory, you know? So YouTube is trying to figure out what they should air versus shouldn't air.
Well,
which is crazy.
YouTube already knows what they're going to air and what they're going to promote and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to promote any content that gets a ton of views so they can sell more ads.
Right.
You know, and that's
the ads are super tricky now, aren't they?
But that's their business.
You're sitting there enjoying your movie, that you're enjoying your clip, and all of a sudden, you resume, and right after this brief ad, there's nothing you can do but watch that ad, you know?
So, let's just say we went out, we caught a few big tarpon, and we put up a really high quality video, and everything's great, and we get our 4,000 or 5,000 people that are into that. Or, we could have caught one of those bull sharks and killed that son of a bitch, and we would have got 100,000 views instead of the 5,000
Or
views.
we could have put a bikini model on the boat, and she could have gotten 15,000 likes in 4 seconds.
Right, or you could do the G-string thing. And unfortunately, YouTube and Facebook and
Instagram.
You know, the way their algorithms work is they're going to promote that. They're going to promote that type of content because they know that the audience is bigger and there's going to be more views. Whether or not they're real guys or not, YouTube's like, that's not my problem. So you're going to see a lot more G-strings, a lot more sharks, manatees, turtles, what else? People, you know, bloopers, you know, people falling in the water.
There was one video of one guy that pulled a straw out of a turtle's nose. Now we're on paper straws in South Florida. Plastic straws are now banned from the beach.
Right.
I can't suck a Diet Coke down with a paper straw. I'm just saying.
Well, regardless, you know, whatever. The poor guy that's like from Penn Fishing Reels is freaking paying, you know, $4 per 1,000 clicks for somebody to get the view that the turtles gets the straw taken out of his nose. How many reels is Penn going to sell from that? None. Or very few. But Google, YouTube, whatever you want to call it, can charge Penn for every last one of those views.
Every single one.
So those are the ones they're going to promote. Those are the ones the algorithms are going to work for. And real guys like you and me and people out there in the audience, you're just going to have to, you know, find the content and spend a little more time and energy finding the stuff that you want to see. And we knew it wasn't going to last forever. This organic, you know, content search and all that. You knew they were going to start pushing stuff on people sooner or later, and they're doing it now. And that's one of the reasons we're going to do podcasts. You know, the format's a lot longer. You can talk about what you want to talk about, and it can't be manipulated as easy through the algorithms. People want to listen to the podcast, they tune in, they actually listen to it. So, Julian, anything you want to say before we wrap things up tonight?
No, I just think what you're doing here is great.
You like it?
I really do.
How do you like the new office and the way the studio is set up and everything?
I haven't been inside your office before, and I was telling the little worm of daughter of yours, so I go, you know, I guess me and Jeff subscribe to the same lifestyle. I got the old Pen 50s over there too. I got the same old, you know, the same old this and same old that, which is great, you know.
Well, you know, they used to make stuff that was made to keep.
Right.
You know, so I don't think they're doing a whole lot of that anymore.
No, everything's like disposable nowadays. Made in China. Echo in China is what I call it. Echo in China. You like that one? The Spanish-Mexican-China collaboration.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Real Guy Podcast this week. Julian, you were great.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. We can't wait to do the event down there at the Tarpon River Brewery.
Yeah, I can't wait to have it at the brewery. It'd be awesome.
And I'm really digging the new light lager recipe.
Good stuff.
Maybe we might convert that into the Run the Dog beer
For sure.
or something.
Absolutely.
So
I'm ready for this prickly pear if you are also. My gold medal winner.
You know, congratulations on the prickly pear. I saw that, and we were all real proud of you.
It's exciting stuff.
You want to crack that open now?
It's up to you. You got to pound that one though.
Jeez, you're gonna get your bomb tonight. That's pretty good. That's awfully good, I gotta tell you. The prickly pear. So when you win first place, you get any cash or anything?
No. You get notoriety. You get established. You get your medal here.
You get your gold medal.
There's an award ceremony, and every brewery in the state of Florida knows that you took gold.
That's cool.
And then, of course, the benefit of social media, not bragging, but sharing, obviously.
Bragging, sharing, whatever you got to do.
But no, it'll help contribute to sales, you
Absolutely.
know? And there's other people that tried to brew this similar beer that have been in business for years. They're huge. And to know that we beat them, the judges thought our beer was better. There's nothing more I could ask for, you know?
Yeah, there's some benefits to doing podcasts where they can't see everything.
Yeah, there's no visual here. There's no evidence.
We can just keep downing beers.
You know, I wish this would be like,
Oh my God, it looks like grapefruit.
yeah, it's perfect. Hopefully your wife or someone will let her have some too.
The prickly pear, nice.
It's super smooth, right? Kind of tart.
Very good. No wonder you won the award. Huh.
And when beer becomes art, you know, it's fun.
Beer becomes art. I was preaching that when I was like 15, 16, 17. Nobody was buying it.
Oh.
Now that we're 50, people buy into that? Listen, come see us down at the Tarpon River Brewery. This is Captain Jeff along with Julian Segal tonight. And thanks for tuning in to the Real Guy Podcast. We really appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.